We're good. Good afternoon, everyone. I should like to call this meeting to order. It is actually 2:01. We are here with four members of the committee. Committee member Davison is away for another meeting elsewhere. We do have quorum, and we are here in the presence of our Secretary Treasurer and several other staff members. Good afternoon and welcome, everyone. Our first order of business is our land acknowledgement statement. The Township of Hamilton is situated within the traditional territory of the Mississauga, Anishinaabe, and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations. Our work on these lands respectfully acknowledges their resilience and their long-lasting contributions to the area now known as the Township of Hamilton. I will turn to Jennifer and ask for our explanation of our process of today's meeting, please, Jennifer.
Thank you, Chairman Jibb. Today we have three minor variance applications. The applications will take place in the order that they appear on the agenda. There's a sign-in sheet in the lobby on the credenza. If people could please sign that and if they would like to receive any notices of decision, please sign that along with the application number for which they would like to receive a copy of the decision. The meeting will be opened. First of all, I will give an overview of each application. The meeting will be opened up for public comments. We request that the speakers come to the microphone, provide their name and address for the record. We'll first hear from those in support of an application, those in opposition to the application, followed by those seeking clarification. All questions must be addressed through the chairperson.
Thank you, Jennifer. The next item on the agenda is a prepared motion regarding the agenda itself, and it simply reads that the agenda for the Committee of Adjustment meeting held on May 12th, 2026 be approved. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Mark, seconded by Larry. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next item is our declaration of pecuniary interest, and I'll simply ask, is there anyone wishing to declare today? Seeing none, that will be recorded. 6.1 on our agenda, and it dealing with our previous meeting minutes. Prepared motion reads that the minutes of the Committee of Adjustment meeting held on April 14th, 2026 be approved. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Bruce, seconded by Larry. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. And there was no business arising from those previous minutes. So we're moving on to new business, being the first of our three minor variances. And it is application A02-26. And it is in the Hennessy and Bustrain names. And Jennifer, if I could turn it to you, please, for the planning report.
Certainly, through you, Chairman Jibb. This is a minor variance application submitted by Martin Hennessy and Ms. Bustrain for a property located at 5498 Sutter Creek Drive. It's located in part of Lot 7, Concession 9, in the northern part of the municipality. They have applied for a minor variance seeking relief from a reduced front setback requirement of 20 meters. They're requesting 13.4 meters. They're proposing to construct an addition to the existing single detached dwelling currently constructed on the property. The addition will include living space to accommodate an elderly family relative, and they could live in the spare room there without the need for stairs. The proposed addition has been designed to minimize impact on neighboring properties and best utilize the unique characteristics of the property. The property does contain some fairly steep slopes. The existing house has been built into the slope. It has a very low profile, and surrounding land uses are to the south and east are all above or higher than this dwelling. So when they look out, they don't even see this dwelling because this dwelling is at a lower elevation. So as I mentioned, the property is developed with a single detached dwelling. The property is about 8.7 hectares, and it's located on the west side of Sutter Creek Drive at the end of the cul-de-sac. There's one sort of grassed plateau on the property. It's located on the east side of the existing dwelling, and that is where they're proposing to construct the addition to the dwelling. They did provide us with a copy of the proposed plans for the addition, and they have been included in the Committee of Adjustment in my report, which is in your agenda package. So surrounding lots on Sutter Creek Drive are developed with single detached dwellings, and to the north, Rice Lake County Road 18 is located to the north of this property, and Rice Lake is on the opposite side of the road. There's a horse barn and a track that are located on the west side of Sutter Creek, south of the subject property, and there's a water course that flows through that property. Those are all illustrated on the site plan, the air photo that was attached to the application. The property is located in a designated settlement area. Designated settlement areas are intended to be the focus of residential development within the municipality. And the proposed addition complies with the provincial planning statement. Now, there is a significant woodland that has been identified on the eastern portion of the subject property in the Northumberland County Official Plan. A natural heritage evaluation or an environmental impact study was not required on the western side of the property, because the proposed addition will be located on the eastern side of the property and will not encroach into that feature. So there will be no impact on that environmental feature with the proposed addition, so we did not require a natural heritage evaluation. The property isn't located on the Oak Ridges Moraine, so that is not relevant to this application. In the county official plan and its designated rural settlement area, the county official plan permits the proposed development. The Hamilton Township official plan designates the property settlement area. The proposed use is permitted, and the official plan contains the 4 tests for a minor variance. The 4 tests are: the variance must be minor, the variance must be desirable and appropriate for the development and use of the land, and the variance must maintain the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, and it must maintain the variance must maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan. So the applicant is applying for a variance to section 9.32A of the township zoning bylaw to permit a reduced front setback of 13.4 meters instead of the normally required 20 meters. The variance is required because the applicant is proposing an addition, and the appropriate location on the site for the addition is on the eastern side of the property, which will bring it closer to the road than is normally permitted. That's the flat plateau. The rest of the property is constrained with topographical constraints and pretty extensive landscaping. In considering whether a variance is minor or desirable, the focus is generally on the impact of the variance. In this case, the proposed variance will have minimal impact, if any, on surrounding land uses, given the design of the proposed addition and the fact that all surrounding land uses are at a much higher elevation. This is the last property on the west side of the cul-de-sac, and so there are no properties in close proximity that will be impacted. So the proposed impact of this is negligible. So the application was sent out for an agency circulation. It was circulated to a number of agencies. Ganaraska Region Conservation Authority commented that there is a slope on the property. The slope is not regulated by the Conservation Authority, and the building department will review the building permit application at that time and determine whether or not any there are any issues with respect to slope stability, but that will be all dealt with during the building permit process, and if necessary, they can request a geotechnical report if it's required. Northumberland County Planning commented that there is a 30-meter setback from the painted center line of County Road 18, and that County Road 18 road deposit be retained during construction. The proposed addition is located approximately 60 meters from the center line of County Road 18, and the construction site will be accessed off of Sutter Creek Drive. So I'm not sure why they are talking about a road deposit for this construction, but those were their comments. The County Inspection Services commented that the applicant will need to consult with inspection services prior to the construction or building permit, because it will be increasing, there may be impact on the existing septic system, and they have to determine whether or not it's capable of accommodating the proposed development. Again, that's part of the building permit approval process. Northumberland, as I mentioned earlier, Northumberland County Planning also commented about the significant woodland on a portion of the property. The proposed development is located on a cleared plateau, and there will be no impact on the woodland feature, so an environmental impact study was not required. Hamilton Township Building Department had no objections, Hamilton Township Public Works Department had no objection, and Hamilton Township Fire Services had no objection. Notice of the application was circulated to all registered landowners within 60 meters of the subject property on April 26th, and a sign was posted on the property on April 24th. I've received one telephone call requesting additional details. When the application was explained to them, they were satisfied, and another person attended the municipal office requesting some more additional details, and once I answered those questions, they were satisfied also. I have no other public comments that were received. So the 4 tests for the minor variance. The first test is minor. We've addressed that in that the impact will be minimal, if anything, on surrounding land uses. The second test is the variance desirable and appropriate for the land. Well, the property is zoned and designated for residential development, and the proposed variance will facilitate the construction of an addition to a permitted use on that property. So the intent of the property is to be developed for residential uses. It is, and the existing addition will just expand the living space side, so it is desirable and appropriate for the property. The intent of the township's official plan has been maintained. The property is designated settlement area, and residential uses are permitted in the settlement area. The intent of the township zoning bylaw has been maintained. The property is zoned rural residential, which permits a single detached dwelling as well as accessory uses, and the proposed additional living space is permitted in the rural residential zone. So our recommendation is that the application be approved. The application is consistent with the provincial planning statement and maintains the intent of the Township of Hamilton and Northumberland County official plans. And I will just note that the applicant is here.
Thank you, Jennifer, and my apologies, either I don't remember the applicant or we haven't met. I'm not sure which. To you, sir, we have a process we go through, and we will come back to you in a minute for any comments. And I sincerely hope there's an opportunity to discuss some components in the future with the county. However, going to the audience, is there anyone other than the applicant here in support of the application? Is there anyone here in the audience in opposition to the application? Is there anyone in the audience seeking clarification on the application? Seeing none to those 3 questions, we can come back to our applicant and simply provide an opportunity for you to speak to the application if you would like, or we could go to the committee and see if there's any questions for yourself as the owner or to our staff. Which would you prefer?
I'm just here to answer any questions. I think the application itself is the entire story. If anybody has any questions,
Okay. Off mic, our applicant has offered to answer any questions for committee, if any are present. So I'll go to our fellow committee members. Larry, can I start with you? Any questions? Mark, questions, comments?
I just have a question or a comment. I mean, you can take it as both. This thing from the county, this deposit, I've never seen anything like this in all my days sitting here. I'm not sure what the logic is behind it. Do we have to enforce this? I mean, is it something that has to be enforced? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
I did not include any conditions on this minor variance, and it's my understanding that if it is not included as a condition, which becomes a minor variance, is sort of a variance to the township zoning bylaw, and the township zoning bylaw, I'm getting very close to my limits of experience, not experience, of knowledge in this. The zoning bylaw is applicable law under the building code, so if I had included it as a condition to the minor variance, then the township would have had to require the applicant to go to the county, I believe, to get an entrance permit or pay this deposit. But since it's not included as a condition of consent, they have to go through the regular building permit process, and it will be up to the building department to determine whether or not a county setback permit is required, because I believe the county setback is 30 meters from the center line of the county road, and the proposed development is outside of that 30 meters. So during the building permit review process, they will go through and determine whether or not the applicant needs to contact the county.
Okay, thank you for that clarification, I guess. I'm in favor of the application, so when you do need a motion, I'd be more than happy to approve the applicant as presented without the county deposit.
And thank you, Mark, and to Jennifer, thank you for choosing your words on this one. Bruce, any questions or comments? My best words are kept to myself on this one. Could we have a motion in support as prepared in front of us for approval of this application, please? Moved by Mark, seconded by Larry. Any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor of the motion? Carried. And Mark, turning to you as the mover, I believe it would be appropriate to have some comments on the reasons.
Well, it meets the four tests of the minor variance, which I think you've listed in your report, Jennifer, and we have no negative comments from the audience whatsoever. There's no one here opposing the application.
Anything further from the seconder on the reasons? Okay. So it's been moved, it's been seconded, it's been voted on. We have the reasons. That application is done. Thank you, Mr. Hennessy. And best of luck as you move forward with this one. Our next application, minor variance, Weinberg, application A0326 on 5298 Rice Lake Drive North. Jennifer, planning report, please.
Through you, Chairman Jib. This property is located at 5298 Rice Lake Drive North in Bewdley. It's at the northern portion of Bewdley, where Rice Lake Drive North and County Road 28 converge. It's just the third lot in. So this lot is unusual in that it is a through lot. It has both frontage on County Road 28 and Rice Lake Drive North. So the township's zoning bylaw contains a provision that says that accessory structures in a residential zone can't be located closer to the road than the principal residential use. Well, on a through lot, that is pretty much impossible to achieve unless the accessory unit is located in the side yard immediately adjacent to the dwelling. So you can't, it has to be located closer to the road, either Rice Lake Drive North or County Road 28. So they have applied for a variance to permit two accessory structures for garages, they're prefabricated structures, to be located closer to Rice Lake Drive North than the existing dwelling on the property. These structures will replace two tarp buildings that they have, or tarp structures that they have on the property, and be used to store garage or cars on the property. They're also requesting a reduced interior side setback to the northern property line of 1.5 meters for those same structures instead of the normally required 2.5 meters. So the property is developed with a single detached dwelling, the accessory tarp structures, and another accessory building. There is a fairly large substantial pond on the eastern side of the property, located between the house and the road, and it's an irregularly shaped property. There's a wooded area on the southeastern portion of the property. So the location of the proposed structures is pretty much the only location for the garages because of the driveway coming into the property, the location of the existing house. There's some landscaping that they've got there. It makes for pretty tight turning radiuses and turnaround for vehicles. So that's why they're requesting the reduced side yard to the north so that they can get them back just a little bit to have a little more flexibility with respect to turning radiuses. So this property is also located in a designated settlement area. Residential uses are permitted under the provincial planning statement. There is a wetland on the property. That wetland, not wetland, there is a pond on that property. That pond is not regulated by the Conservation Authority. On the air photo, it illustrates in orange the areas that are regulated by the Conservation Authority. There is a large, provincially significant wetland located about 200 plus meters north and northeast of the subject property. However, it does not extend onto the subject property, which is also outside of the influence area for that provincially significant wetland. Northumberland County commented that the southeastern portion of the property contains a significant woodland, and the township may want to consider an environmental impact study if any future development is proposed in the southeastern portion of the subject property. No development is proposed within the southeast portion of the property, and an environmental impact study was not required for this application. The application does conform with the provincial planning statement. The subject property is located on the Oak Ridges Moraine and is subject to the policies of the Oak Ridges Moraine Conservation Plan. Now, the Oak Ridges Moraine Conservation Plan recognizes existing residential uses in the moraine. It also permits residential development on existing lots of record that are currently undeveloped on the Oak Ridges Moraine. So the proposed accessory structures are permitted, and the construction of those is consistent with the policies contained in the Oak Ridges Moraine Conservation Plan. The county and the Northumberland County official plan designates the property rural settlement area, which permits residential uses and uses accessory to the residential use. The township official plan designates the property rural settlement area, Oak Ridges Moraine. The Hamilton Township official plan designates the area of rural settlement area. Settlement areas are intended to be the focus of residential development, and the proposed accessory uses are permitted. And it should be noted that these proposed accessory structures will be replacing two tarp structures that are located on the property, already located on gravel padded areas within the driveway area. So there will be no increase in sort of non-permeable area of development. So the official plan contains 4 tests for a minor variance. They're the same tests set out in the Planning Act. The variance must be minor, must be desirable and appropriate, maintain the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, and maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan. So the applicant is applying for a variance to section 5.12 of the Township zoning bylaw to allow the accessory structures to be located closer to Rice Lake Drive North than the principal dwelling. Now, these structures will still be located approximately 35 and 41 meters from the front lot line, which is the Rice Lake Scenic Drive North line, which exceeds the 10-meter setback requirement for a principal structure on this property. So they still meet the front setback requirement of a principal building. There will be no impact from the variance to section 5.1.2. I mean, you could have a house closer to the road than these structures are proposed to be. They're going to be set back quite a bit back. If you've attended the site, you'd know that you drive in the driveway and they would be barely visible from the road. Now, they also requested a variance to the interior side setback to the north. The Township zoning bylaw contains a required interior side setback for an accessory building of 2.5 meters, and they have requested a variance to permit a 1.5 meter setback from that northern property line. Now, the house on the most impacted property would be their neighbor to the north. That house is oriented so that it looks sort of northeast, and that property, the dwelling on that property is located 9 meters from the common property line. So there's still quite a significant area between the distance between the proposed structures and the dwelling on the northern property line. We've received no comments from that property owner objecting to the proposed variance, and the construction of 2 accessory structures 1 meter closer to the property line will not have a significant impact. It's not like we're recommending approval of a deck that will be 1 meter from their property line or anything else. The rear of these structures will be facing their lot line. There will be not a lot of increase in activity closer to the lot line with these proposed structures than with the 2.5 meter setback. So our recommendation is that the variance be approved and that it is generally minimal impact on surrounding land uses. The subject properties zoned Oak Ridge's Marine Environmental and Urban Residential First Density on Schedule A to the Township zoning bylaw. The zone provisions that apply to this property are those found in the Urban Residential First Density. I discussed the setbacks earlier. It's a 1.5 meter reduction, they're requesting 1.5 meter setback from the northern lot line instead of the 2.5 meter setback, and they're requesting that the proposed structures be located closer to the road than the main permitted dwelling. With the proposed variances, the intent of the Township zoning bylaw will be maintained. The application was circulated to a number of agencies. Ganaraska Region Conservation Authority commented that the subject lands are not regulated and they had no concerns. Northumberland County commented that there's a significant woodland on the southeastern portion and that the township may want to require an EIS. As I discussed earlier, an EIS was not required for this application because no development is proposed within or adjacent to that significant woodland. Northumberland County Public Works commented that a setback permit is requested for the northern side yard adjacent to County Road 28 to ensure a minimum 30-meter setback from the painted center line of County Road 28 and to retain the County Road 28 road deposit during construction. Once again, this property, the proposed dwellings are outside of the required 30-meter setback based on a review of aerial photography, and the applicants will be using Rice Lake Drive North to access the property during construction. Northumberland County had no objections to the proposal. The Township of Hamilton Building Department had no objection and noted that grading and drainage would be reviewed as part of the building permit application process. Hamilton Township Fire Department had no objections, and Hamilton Township Public Works Department had no objections. The application was circulated to all registered landowners within 60 meters of the property on April 28th, and a sign was posted on April 13th. No public comments have been received. So in reviewing the 4 tests for the minor variance, we've determined that the variances are minor. There will be minimal impact on adjacent property owners. The reduced interior side setback of 1 meter is minimal, even though it's minimal. There's no increased activity, noise activity, or active land uses that will be taking place in proximity to that adjacent property line. The proposed structures will comply with the setback requirement for a principal dwelling on the property, which is 10 meters, and the new buildings will be located 35 meters and 41 meters from the municipal road, which means that there should be no impact on the variance to section 5.1.2 of the zoning bylaw, which permits the structures to be located closer to the road than the main permitted use. The variance is desirable and appropriate for the land. The property is zoned, sorry, I've got rural residential. It's urban residential, and Oak Ridge is marine environmental, which permit the single detached dwelling and accessory uses. The intent of the township's official plan has been maintained. The property is intended for residential uses, and accessory uses are permitted, and the general intent of the Hamilton Township zoning bylaw has similarly been maintained. The recommendation is that the application be approved.
Thank you, Jennifer, and I take it that the absence of condition of setback and holding deposit is going to be left to the building department once again on this application.
That's correct.
Thank you. Is our applicant with us today? Okay, thank you. Well, I don't believe there's anyone here, but I must ask, just for process, is there anyone here in support of the application? Is there anyone here in opposition of the application? Is there anyone here seeking clarification on the application? And just in case our applicant's outside our vision, is our applicant with us today? And we're going to say no, unless they step through the door very quickly. Moving on to committee members. Any questions or comments? Okay, the motion is to approve as set forth by our planning department recommendation. Do I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Bruce, seconded by Larry. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Carried, thank you. And Bruce, as the mover, can we come back to you for comments on reasons?
So it passes the 4 tests of a minor variance, and there's no one in opposition to it.
Anything further from the seconder? Seeing none, moved, seconded, reasons are there, application's done. We'll move on to
Okay, this is a minor variance application for a property located at 8182B Dale Road. It's located on the north side of Dale Road. Earlier this year, there was a minor variance to permit an increased additional residential unit on the property. At that time, I didn't realize that it was going to be located on the second story of an accessory garage, and they need a height variance. So this is for a variance to section 5.2P3, which to permit an additional residential unit in an accessory building with a maximum height of 7.7 meters instead of the normally required 5.5 meters. So they had previously applied for and received a minor variance to construct a 121 square meter additional residential unit in an accessory building instead of the normally required or normally permitted 98 meter square building. A copy of the applicant's site plan and building design are attached to the report. The 1.2 hectare subject property is located on the north side of Dale Road. It's developed with a single detached dwelling and accessory garage. There's a water course and associated valley lands located on the east side of the subject property. And they are proposing a new detached garage with an additional residential unit on the second floor. It's an irregularly shaped property with pretty narrow frontage, about 7.5 meters, and the dwelling is located quite far back from County Road. Surrounding uses are Dale Road Public Schools, located approximately 100 meters to the east. There are a couple of rural residential uses to the south, southeast, and there's a large agricultural property to the west. The property is designated agriculture and floodplain hazard, natural hazard floodplain in the township's zoning bylaw. The area on which the proposed building will be located is in the agriculture designation. The existing residential use is an existing residential use on a lot of record within the municipality. Under the provincial planning statement, we're required to comply with minimum distance separation formula. There's already an existing residential use located in the area on the subject property. No additional residential unit will be located any closer to the livestock facilities. We reviewed the natural heritage policies and natural hazard policies. Ganaraska Region Conservation Authority commented that the water course and the valley lands associated with that water course are regulated by them. The proposed septic system or the septic system is located within that regulated area, and the Conservation Authority has already issued a permit for the required septic system. The provincial planning statement also requires us to consider archaeological or cultural heritage landscapes and archaeological resources. The subject property is within 300 meters of a water course. However, the property has been largely disturbed, and the proposed additional residential unit and garage are located on the site of the existing garage, so an archaeological assessment was not required. The property is not located on the Oak Ridges Moraine. Under the county official plan, it's designated agricultural areas. And while agriculture is recognized as the primary activity and land use in the agricultural areas, the single detached dwellings on existing lots of record are permitted. The property is designated agriculture in the township's township's official plan, as well as natural hazard floodplain. Existing lots of record and existing residential uses are permitted, and the the proposed accessory use is similarly permitted. The township's official plan contains 4 tests for a minor variance. The variance must be minor, must be desirable and appropriate for the use of the land, maintain the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, and maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan. The requested variance seeks relief from section 5.2P3 of the Township zoning bylaw, which limits the height of an additional residential unit in an accessory building to 5.5 meters. Because this additional residential unit is going to be located above an accessory garage, an increased height is required of 7.7 meters. The proposed structure will comply with all of the other provisions of the township zoning bylaw. There are no surrounding uses that will be impacted by the proposed increase in height, so the impact of the requested variance is minimal. The property is zoned rural residential, which permits residential uses as well as accessory uses. As I mentioned earlier, the only variance we're looking for at this point in time is a variance to section 5.2P3, permitting an additional residential unit with a maximum height of 7.7 meters. The application was circulated to a number of agencies. Ganaraska Region Conservation Authority commented that the location of the proposed development in conjunction with this application is outside of GRCA's regulated area. On this basis, GRCA has no objection to the approval of the minor variance application. GRCA staff note that a permit from the authority has been issued, number 2574, for the purpose of installing a septic system within a GRCA regulated area. Northumberland County Planning commented that they have no objection with the application, but that an environmental impact study could be considered if the development is proposed on the eastern portion of the property. The proposed development is not located on the eastern portion of the property, so an environmental impact study was not required. Hamilton Township Building Department had no objection. Hamilton Township Public Works had no objection. Hamilton Township Fire had no objection. Notice of the application was circulated to all landowners within 60 meters of the property on April 28th, and a sign was posted on April 24th. No public comments have been received to date. So our 4 tests for a minor variance. The one, is it minor? There will be no impact on adjacent properties. There's no residential uses close to the proposed accessory structure. The closest residential use is located to the south, and the existing dwelling is located between the proposed new structure and that adjacent house. Is the variance desirable and appropriate for the land? Well, the property is already developed with a residential use that has been established for years, and the proposed variance will facilitate the construction of an additional dwelling unit on a developed residential property consistent with Township's official plan. The general intent of the Township's official plan has been maintained. No development is proposed within that natural heritage floodplain area, and it is located on the part of the property that's designated agriculture, which permits additional residential units and accessory structures. The general intent of the Township's zoning bylaw has been maintained. The property is zoned rural residential. Accessory residential uses are permitted. Northumberland County, I forgot to add this comment earlier, commented that there is a significant woodland and enhancement area located on the eastern area of the property. And that is what would have required an environmental impact study if the proposed development was in that area. However, it is not. So staff recommendation is that the variance be approved as it meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act.
Thank you, Jennifer. And I see a few faces from the area, so I'll go through the list. Is our applicant with us?
Our applicant is here.
I thought so. We'll be back to you in a minute at the end. Is there anyone other than the applicant in our audience in support of the application? Is there anyone here in the audience in opposition to the application? Is there anyone here in the audience seeking clarification? Seeing none to those 3 questions, we'll come back to the applicant and simply ask, would you like to make a presentation, or would you like us to go through the process and see if there's any questions? Very well, the applicant said just go forward with the committee. Bruce, can I start off with you? Any questions or comments? Mark, questions or comments? Larry, questions or comments? Okay, we need a mover and a seconder then for approval. Moved by Mark, seconded by Larry. Once more, questions or comments? None? All those in favor of the motion? Carried. Our reasons, please.
Yeah, it meets the 4 tests. There's no one in opposition, and it really makes good sense to do this.
Anything to add by the seconder? Duly noted. Very well. Our application for minor variances today is done. Thank you. And we'll move on to the next order of business, which is actually adjournment. But before we get there, I just want to publicly state that I will not be present at next week's council meeting. I will be attending medical appointments with my wife in Kingston. I'm not available to be back on time for the meeting. So our Vice President. our deputy mayor, I think is probably the official terminology, will be chairing that meeting. And thank you, Larry, in advance. Motion to adjourn, please. Moved by Bruce, second by Mark, that the Committee of Adjustment meeting held on May 12th, 2026 be adjourned at 2:45. And we'll turn off our mics.